essentially it's like, do I put food or do I pay rent, right? So that's right there is a barrier, and that's out of their control, right? We don't control the cost of living. It just keeps going up. Tyler Gilsinger, Executive Director with Carmichael Outreach. Our vision is to see the end of poverty and homelessness in our community. So we do that by providing various services to the community. As an outreach, some of those services are our housing program, boutique, and then essentially our food security. And then within those programs, there's actually various multiple services that we offer. So they also help the individuals not only get housed, but all the requirements to get housed. So, ID, income, working with the landlords, helping them set up the bills, the utilities, if they're short funds or need funds for that, sometimes we will help them with that as well. Some of the housing ones, as I said, helping individuals get IDs. So essentially that one's always like a fun little loophole. Because essentially, how do you get an ID if you don't have an address to get it mailed to, and then you can't get a house if you don't have an ID, and it's like a big loophole, right? It's just never ending. So essentially, we try and fill in those gaps. So for clients, we have mail-in, so they can get their mail here to get their ID to get that. But something as little as that, and then also like another one is like references. So a lot of landlords require references, and unfortunately, some don't have references because they've been couch surfing for how long, and then a lot of tenants or landlords just won't accept that, right? So that's a little barrier for housing. Also, there's also the huge part too. A big part is, a lot of people experiencing homelessness have addictions and mental health issues. So with that, we try to work with them. Finding a landlord too is kind of hard too. But we do offer individuals help for those who do want to go. But then even then, someone who wants to get clean, getting to treatment is often another barrier as well. How do you get them to treatment? And then once they're there, do they have the supports for treatment and after treatment, right? So those are just some of the little challenges of getting someone housed, right? And then food insecurity. So with inflation and the cost of living constantly going up, a lot of individuals are struggling just to meet that. So especially if they're on the SIS program, which you don't get much income. So essentially it's like, do I put food or do I pay rent, right? So that's right there is a barrier, and that's out of their control, right? We don't control the cost of living. It just keeps going up. We've seen an increase in all of our services across the board. So essentially, we have looked at how can we better utilize our services and how can we better tackle it. So is it, do we extend our services, which some services we have, but also when you're doing that kind of stuff, do we have the staffing resources available, right? Is there time for that? Essentially, is there funding available for that? So across the board, it does become a challenge, and how could we overcome these challenges? Well, funding's always one, but volunteering, space is the other one that we need tons of. Space, essentially, we see a demand in everything, but just because there's demand doesn't mean, are we able to do that, right? Do we have the space for that? Because right now, as you can already see, this building, it's new-ish to us, but essentially it's already used to capacity as much as it can be with every program that we do offer, and the few that are yet to be introduced with Carmichael. Like I said, this building's kind of new to us, but it's been around for a while. And essentially, we gutted it and redid it, but because it's an aging building, you still have problems with it. So, we are in the process of fixing our roof. We just got mold removal done. And then our next project's actually our floor. So we received some funds from SSCF for that. And essentially, that would only cover a portion of our one floor. So Essentially, to get the whole floor done, we're looking at almost double, triple that. But then again, it rings the question is, do we get that portion done? Because if we get it done, then because of how the building is, it will actually not make it worse. It'll help temporarily, but it's not a long-term solution for us, right? It's a very short-term solution, unless if you get the whole floor done. So we're also looking at other options, what we could do for longer term, because to get the whole floor done, it's just, it's not feasible at this time. So if we were into an actual new building that required less maintenance and stuff, essentially, it would save us a tons of money. We'd be able to actually use our money for our programming. And then, because right now with the aging infrastructure, we're constantly seeing problems like ought to be the roof, the washrooms are leaking, so water's coming up, there's cracks everywhere, and we're just constantly spending money on this building. But essentially, if we had a newer building, it would save us a lot of time and money, and I'd be able to focus my energy and our funds towards what it actually should be used for, is helping the community with our continued programs and expanding our programs. But a bigger building would be more staff too. So we could obviously do way more than what we can do here. So